A big German shepherd lay in the snow, alone and shaking. His fur was dirty and full of ice. His thin body showed every rib, and his eyes were full of fear. The cold wind blew hard through the empty streets of New York, but no one noticed the shivering German shepherd under the flickering streetlight. He let out a soft whimper, almost like a cry. It was a sound full of pain and loneliness. People walked past him, wearing thick coats and warm scarves. They didn't stop. They didn't see him. But someone did. Across the street, a young girl sat curled up in the corner of an old building. Her name was Lily. Her coat was torn, and her hair was messy from sleeping outside. Snowflakes landed on her head and shoulders, melting slowly into her skin. She was cold, so cold that her hands could barely move. She hugged her knees to her chest, trying to stay warm with a small, torn blanket. It was her only possession in the world. When she heard the dog's cry, she lifted her head. Her eyes searched the empty street until they landed on the dog. He looked just like she felt, cold, hungry, and scared. Lily hesitated. She had nothing to give. No food, no home. Only her thin blanket and her tired heart. But still she couldn't just sit and do nothing. Slowly, carefully, she crawled across the snow. Her fingers burned from the ice, but she didn't stop. When she reached the dog, he lifted his head slightly, watching her with wide, frightened eyes. Lily could see the pain in him. Maybe he could see it in her too. Without speaking, she gently placed her blanket over his shivering body. The dog flinched at first, but then he relaxed under the soft, warm touch. "It's okay," she whispered, brushing his fur with trembling fingers. "You're safe now." The dog looked into her eyes. In that quiet moment, something passed between them, something strong and deep. They were both broken, both forgotten, but now they had each other. Lily sat beside him, letting him lean into her for warmth. The wind still howled and snow kept falling, but something had changed. She was no longer completely alone, and neither was he. When the sun slowly rose over the quiet city, its soft light touched the rooftops and melted tiny bits of snow. The cold air still hung around, but something felt different to Lily. She opened her tired eyes and felt a warm weight beside her. Max, the German shepherd, was still curled up next to her, his body pressed against hers for warmth. His eyes opened, and he let out a small, sleepy sound. Lily smiled, though her lips were dry and cracked. "You stayed," she whispered, gently stroking his fur. "I guess we're stuck together, huh?" She thought for a moment, and then softly said, "I'm gonna call you Max. You look like a Max." The dog blinked slowly, as if he accepted the name. Together they stood up and began walking. The streets were still full of rushing people, cars, and the smell of coffee and food from nearby shops. Lily's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in a day. Max looked just as hungry. They searched through trash cans behind restaurants, hoping to find scraps. Sometimes they were lucky. Most times they weren't. People passed them, not even turning their heads. It was like Lily and Max didn't exist. After hours of walking and searching, Lily sat on a step near a subway station, tired and cold. Max sat beside her, his ears alert, but his tail still. Lily looked around, then took a deep breath. She began to sing. Her voice was soft, a little rough from the cold, but there was something in it, something honest and real. The kind of voice that made people stop, even if just for a second. To Lily's surprise, Max started wagging his tail. He walked toward the people passing by and gently nudged them with his nose. Some smiled. A few stopped, One man dropped a coin in Lily's empty cup, then another. Then a young woman paused, listened to a few lines, and gave Lily a $5 bill. Lily stared at the money, her eyes wide. "We did it, Max!" She laughed, her heart full for the first time in a long while. Max barked softly as if he understood. But then, something caught her eye. Across the street stood an older woman. She was well-dressed, holding a warm cup of coffee, and watching Lily and Max with thoughtful eyes. Her face was calm, but curious. There was something different about her. She didn't look away like the others. Before Lily could wave or call out, the woman turned and slowly walked away. Lily watched her disappear into the crowd, her mind full of questions. "I have a feeling we'll see her again," she said to Max. The dog rested his head on her knee and closed his eyes. For now they had each other. And maybe, just maybe, something better was waiting ahead. The city lights began to fade as night fell. Cold air returned, creeping into Lily's bones. Streetlights flickered above as she walked beside Max, the German shepherd who had become her closest friend. They had made a little money that day, just enough to buy a piece of bread and a bottle of water. Lily had saved some coins in a small pouch she kept deep in her coat. It wasn't much, but to her, it meant survival. As they searched for a quiet place to sleep, Lily turned into a narrow alleyway. It was dark and smelled like garbage, but it was hidden, just enough to rest without being seen. Max stayed close to her side, his ears perked. He didn't like this place, and neither did Lily. But they had no choice. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind them. Lily turned around quickly. 3 boys stepped into the alley. They were older, maybe 16 or 17, with messy clothes and angry eyes. "Hey," one of them called out with a smirk. "What you got there?" Lily felt her heart race. She gripped Max's fur tightly. "We don't want trouble," she said quietly. "Too bad," the tallest boy sneered, stepping forward. "Give us your money." Lily shook her head. "I don't have any," she lied, hiding the pouch deeper into her coat. The boy didn't believe her. "Don't lie to me," he snapped. Then he lunged forward to grab her. But before he could touch her, Max leaped into action. With a sudden growl, Max jumped and sank his teeth into the boy's arm. The boy screamed in pain, trying to shake Max off. "Get him off me," he yelled to his friends. One of the other boys kicked Max hard in the side. Max let out a sharp yelp and tumbled across the ground. "Max!" Lily cried, running toward him. Her eyes filled with tears, her hands shaking. But Max, brave and strong, stood back up. He was limping, but his teeth were still bared and his eyes full of fire. He growled low, warning them. The boys looked at each other, unsure. Then one of them said, "He's crazy. Let's go." They turned and ran out of the alley, leaving Lily and Max alone in the dark. Lily dropped to her knees and pulled Max into her arms. His fur was dirty and he was shaking, but he nuzzled against her gently. "You protected me," she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Even when you were scared, even when you were hurt." She stroked his head slowly. "You're all I have in this world, Max." "Thank you," Max let out a soft whine, resting his head in her lap. Despite the pain, he had kept her safe. That night, under the silent stars, Lily knew, no matter what happened, she and Max would fight through it. Together. The sun rose slowly over the city, casting a pale golden light on the cold streets. Lily sat on a bench in the park, her coat still torn, her hands wrapped tightly around Max's fur for warmth. Max lay beside her, his head resting on her lap, his eyes half closed from the pain of last night's fight. Lily gently touched the bruise near his ribs and whispered, "We'll be okay, Max." I promise she didn't know how she'd keep that promise. The little money they had was gone. They hadn't eaten since yesterday. Max needed a vet and she needed help. But from who? Just then, footsteps crunched on the gravel behind them. Lily turned around, instantly on edge. Max lifted his head and let out a low growl. A familiar voice spoke softly. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." Lily's eyes widened. It was the same older woman who had watched them from across the street a few days ago. Her coat was long and clean, and her silver hair was neatly tied back. But it was her eyes Lily noticed most. They were kind. "I've been looking for you," the woman said gently. Lily pulled Max a little closer. "Why?" The woman slowly knelt down to their level. She didn't move too fast or too close, just enough to show she meant no harm. She looked at Max and smiled softly. "Your dog. He reminds me of one I lost years ago. He was strong and loyal, just like yours." Lily didn't say anything. She didn't trust strangers easily. "My name is Clara," the woman continued. "I work with dogs, police dogs, rescue dogs. I train them to help people." She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small card. "I'd like to help you both." Lily frowned, still unsure. "Why would you want to help us?" Clara didn't answer right away. She looked Lily in the eyes and said, "Because I see something special in you, and in Max. You have courage. You didn't walk away from him, even when you had nothing. That means something." She placed the card gently on the bench beside Lily. "I have a place not far from here. You'd have a warm bed, food, clean clothes. Max would get the care he needs. You could learn, work with the dogs, build something better." Lily looked down at the card. It said Clara Dawson, Canine Rescue and Training Center. She looked at Max, who now seemed calm, watching Clara carefully. His brown eyes met Lily's, full of trust. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up the card. The idea of a warm place, of food, of someone caring. It felt almost like a dream. Clara stood up slowly. "You don't have to decide now, but I'll be there. Just come when you're ready." As Clara walked away, the breeze carried her words like a whisper of hope. Lily looked back at Max and gave a small, uncertain smile. For the first time in a long, long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, things could change. Clara's home was nothing like the cold streets Lily had known. It was warm, filled with the scent of fresh bread and the soft sound of dogs barking in the distance. The walls were lined with pictures of smiling dogs and happy children. For the first time in her life, Lily felt like she had stepped into a different world, a world where kindness was real. The first thing Clara did was take Max to a vet. Lily waited outside the room, her heart pounding with worry. But soon, the vet came out smiling. "He's going to be just fine," he said. "A few bruises, but he's strong." Lily burst into tears of relief and hugged Max tightly. "You're okay, Max," she whispered, burying her face in his fur. Clara handed Lily clean clothes, a soft sweater, warm jeans, and even socks that didn't have holes. That night, Lily slept in a real bed for the first time in months. The blanket was thick, the pillow soft, and Max was right beside her, breathing gently. Over the next few days, Clara began teaching Lily about dogs, how to understand them, how to talk to them, how to train them with love instead of fear. "Training a dog," Clara said, "isn't about power. It's about trust." Lily listened carefully, and Max did too. He was incredibly smart. He picked up commands faster than any other dog. Sit, stay, come. heal. His eyes always stayed on Lily, waiting for her next word. "You two have a bond," Clara said one afternoon. "Something rare. You trust each other. That's powerful." As days turned into weeks, Lily's life began to change. She started going to school again, a small one nearby, where the teachers were kind and the other kids didn't stare. After school, she helped Clara with the dogs. She brushed them, fed them, walked them, and trained them. Every evening after dinner, Lily would sit by the window with Max beside her. She would stroke his fur and watch the snow fall gently outside. One such evening, Lily looked at Max and whispered, "We made it, boy." Max looked up at her and wagged his tail slowly, letting out a happy sigh before resting his head on her lap. Lily smiled. Not just because she was safe, but because she finally believed that things could stay this way. No more sleeping on cold sidewalks. No more begging for coins. No more fear. She had a future now, a real one, a home, a school, a purpose, and most importantly, someone who believed in her. Clara had given her more than shelter. She had given her hope. As snowflakes danced against the window and Max snored softly by her side, Lily closed her eyes and whispered again, "Thank you." For the first time in a long time, she wasn't scared of tomorrow. She was ready for it. The end.